My dudes, what's going on? Another world, another tips and tricks with the legend once again.
IceLocked here with Nocturne Gaming, back with more tips for World 3.
Make sure to give him some love. His channel's in the pinned comment in the description below. Anyways, let's get into it. Tip number 1. Haagen-Dazs questline needs to be done for 3D printing and shrines. As soon as you enter World 3, you need to complete the Haagen-Dazs questline at least partway through for 2 specific star talent books.
The first is printer sampling. When equipped on your skill bar, this allows you to take samples for your 3D printer. The second is shrine artifact. When equipped, this allows you to place down shrine. These 2 star talents are absolute staples in Eidolon and should never be skipped.
Tip number 2. Buy wax skulls and cardboard box traps for all characters at the World 3 shop.
This will allow you to place traps and generate worship charge on all your characters.
As a bonus, you can even get some free stat points from your tools, so make sure to spend a few upgrade stones to get the most out of them. Tip number 3. The 3D printer is a huge pain in the ass, but here's some quick rules of thumbs to help you get a head start. At Acorn Assault 21, you'll unlock Royal Sampler, which gives you a ton of sample rate. Sample rate is the percentage of your AFK info that the sample will take. It caps out at 90%. For example, if your AFK info is 400 oak logs and you have 50% printer sample, your sample would be 200 oak logs.
You can check this stat in the construction skill info on your character menu. Make sure to focus on getting prints to fill your refinery, because being salt locked is one of Eidolon's biggest early game soft locks for gear progression.
So getting it early will save you in the long run.
For combat prints, multi-kill, sample rate, and AFK gains are your best friends. For skilling prints, skill efficiency, skilling speed, sample rate, and AFK gains are your best friends. You can boost your prints by quite a bit by equipping a couple of skilling foods, taking a print, and then removing the food to preserve the buff.
On top of sample rate, getting multi-resource bubbles from things like multi-logo or Wyoming blood or other big bubbles is massive. The first threshold is 300%, but with certain upgrades, you can max this out at 600%. If you want to know how to get 90% samples and figure out what to print without much effort, I've got a video linked in the description below. Number 4. When you start building out your construction workbench, your top priority should be the 3D printer. It's the first building on the top row of construction workbench. Each level you build will allow one more character to print different materials for free every hour. This is the main way to farm tons of materials to craft new gear, level up stance, and boost alchemy bubbles.
The Death Note is the third building on the top row, and this unlocks multi-kill, which means that as you kill enough of each monster, you increase your multi-kill per tier. This means you get credit for killing multiple monsters instead of just one per hit. As your damage increases, you can multiply your multi-kill, so between the multi-kill stat and damage tiers, you'll go from killing thousands of monsters per hour to millions.
After you finish unlocking and leveling up these buildings a few times, the next priority should be unlocking all the shrines ASAP. Shrines provide free bonuses that level up over time, and because there's such a huge amount of AFK hours to level them up, you want to unlock them as early as possible. Tip number 5. Boulder rollers are best in slot until Poisonic Elders. There are 3 phases you'll go through as you progress in tower defense.
The first phase is using boulder rollers as your primary damage dealing tower. During this time, you want to focus on leveling up boulder roller to 30 as soon as possible, as this will be needed for the World 3 tower defense. While you're leveling up boulder roller, you should keep leveling your shrines and unlocking new towers whenever possible.
The next phase starts when you unlock Poisonic Elder Tower, but it won't be a huge upgrade until you get a few levels into it and unlock the Voided Air Tower. Poisonic Elder places poison clouds on the ground that deal continuous damage to each wave that passes through them. Voided Air Tower removes the special abilities from different mobs that spawn each wave, which helps maximize Poisonic Elder's damage.
The third phase comes much later in the game when you unlock the Slow Roast Whiz bonus from Equinox. This allows you to contain mobs much easier, but that's for later in the game.
Once you get there, just be sure to check out some of the dedicated tower defense guides from Nocturne Gaming, linked in the description below.
On to tip number 6, hard focus construction cogs and booster cogs for construction EXP. In construction, you'll have a tab that contains a cog board. This is what helps give you build rate for constructing your towers, shrines, and other buildings. You'll unlock the board using flags, but here's the thing, most of the stats on the cogs are actually a bait.
You want XP percent on all of your cogs. You can check this by pressing the eyeball icon at the top. The reason? 99% of your build rate and flaggy rate will be coming from your squires. The best setup is to have 2 squires dedicated specifically for this purpose. Sure, you could prioritize flaggy rate to unlock the board faster, but in reality, you'll save more time by sticking to XP percent cogs. So,
2 squires should be focused on build rate for the cog board. Every other character should be farming cogs. The reason this is so insane is because of the carpenter bubble in alchemy, which gives you build rate percentage percentage per construction level. Even in the late game, you'll still be running EXP percentage cogs until you reach at least 1,500 to 2,000 levels in construction on each of your squires.
Later, as you build different colored cogs, you'll get the chance to build booster cogs. Booster cogs can enhance specific stats on your characters or cogs on the board, like XP percent or build rate percent. The best setup? Go all in XP percent, because the ramp up becomes insane. The max XP percent you can get is 65%. I'll show an example of my cog board setup just so you get a better idea of how it works.
Tip number 7, spend your library books often. Once you unlock the talent book library from the construction workbench, you'll have the ability to buy library books that upgrade maximum levels of specific talents. Library books are generated over time, but the more books you have stocked up, the slower it generates new ones. This means you want to spend these books as frequently as possible to upgrade all of your talents. There's even an achievement for spending 1,000 library books.
Early on, there's a priority list for which talents to focus on. This priority list is similar for all characters, so we'll use Barbarian as an example. Start with skill books that increase damage or skill efficiency. Tab 1 priorities: Sharpened Axe, Gilded Sword, Brute Efficiency, Idle Brawling, and Idle Skilling.
On tab 2, for damage, you're going to want to start with Carry a Big Stick, Strength in Numbers, Firmly Grasp It, and Absolute Unit. Also on tab 2, but for skilling, you want to start with Copper Collector, Motherlode Miner, and Tool Proficiency. Tab 3 priorities for damage would be Strength Some More, Apocalypse Zow, and the attack talents on the top row. For skilling on tab 3, you'll start with Bob and Bobbers, Catching Some Z's, and Worming Undercover.
Eventually, you want to upgrade all your talents, but as you progress through the worlds, you'll gain some more bonuses to increase your maximum talent level. Tip number 8. We all want to push the world as quickly as possible because that's what you should do. But how do you hard push? This is where time candy becomes extremely effective, because holy, World 3 is a slog. Now, not so much with Vault, but it's still pretty bad.
Here's what you do. On a map you're progressing, while you're using your squire, place all of your shrines. After that, equip big HP potions from World 3 and some food. The secret, use your Bricky Skin ability before using a time candy. This gives you a huge boost to your survivability bonuses due to damage reduction, allowing you to push harder and further than most other classes, just from the sheer defense you have. Not only that, but since shrines only level up based on your AFK time, when you pop a time candy, you're also leveling up your shrines at the same time.
With enough time candy, pushing all the way to Neptunes shouldn't be that much of a hassle with this method. It's brute forcing it, but you get tons of XP for talent points, so it balances out in the long run.
Tip number 9, don't collect your red salts early. One of the easiest traps to fall into World 3 is collecting your red salts too early, instead of allowing it to rank up. In the refinery, you have a power bar that fills up as you produce salts. You can collect these at any time, but if you wait until the power bar is full, then when you collect the salt, it will rank up that salt to the next level.
This allows you to produce 2 times the amount of salts for the same amount of time. Each rank will require more salts to level and more materials per salt you generate. It might seem like it slows you down, but in the long run, you'll need millions of these salts, so taking your time to rank it up will make your life easier later. To combat the penalty of needing more materials to produce salt, we could use a 3D printer to generate free materials. Early game, this might mean printing green spore caps of copper ore on multiple characters generate enough materials to continuously refine salts, but as you progress with higher damage, multi-kill, and skill efficiency, you'll be able to print more than enough materials to never run out. Salts are one of the biggest bottlenecks of the game, so you do your best to always be refining salts. Rule of thumb is never to early refine red and green salts. Always rank them up first.
Tip number 10, spend worship charge on all your characters. Better skulls give more charge speed. Spending worship charge on every character is going to be very beneficial because it helps you unlock new skulls. Skulls not only give you a higher charge capacity, but also faster charge speed and better stat sticks overall. If you're in desperate need of souls, you can use the wizard's talent Charge Siphon, but if it's not urgent, getting EXP will reward you with more souls later on. Yes, this process can feel monotonous, but it's way more worth it than using it just one super juiced wizard soaking up all that EXP.
More charge equals more souls. And don't forget the Maestro talent, Rite of Action, increases skill efficiency for other characters if it's the highest level. This means you'll get even more souls for your wizard in the long run. It wouldn't be a 10 tips and tricks video without some bonus tips.
So for bonus tip number 1, the Equinox is probably not something you can unlock right away, but unlocking it as soon as you can will make your Eidolon journey much smoother since it's a time-gated feature. To unlock this mechanic, you need to make your way to Bloodbones, which is located 2 maps away from the crossroads at Sir Stash's. Bloodbones has a chance to drop a mirror, and when consumed, this will take you to the Equinox. Here, you'll find special materials and challenges that provide insanely strong unlocks. Some of these bonuses make certain mechanics ridiculously easy, so unlocking Equinox early is a game changer.
Bonus tip number 2, save giant spawns for the third Bellows quest for keys. At the end of World 3, the NPC Bellows will give you Cheezor keys, which is needed to fight the World 3 boss, stopping you from entering World 4. His first 2 quests give keys, but then the third quest gives you characters 1 key per day per completion. So if you have 10 characters, that's 10 keys per day. But to complete this third quest, you need to kill a giant spawn. Giants can only be spawned by equipping Tactation of the Titans, a prayer unlocked from Waka Waka War Tower Defense at Wave 11. Each time you kill a giant, the spawn chance increases and only resets weekly. So make sure you use 1 or 2 each week to unlock these daily keys on each character.
Bonus tip number 3, how to spawn the Dilapidated Slush. Dilapidated Slush is the mini boss in World 3 and can be spawned in the blocks map using the bucket of slush. The recipe for this drops from drop table 15, which includes mobs like Cheezor, Crystal Cattle, and blocks.
This mini boss drops the best in slot skilling obols as well as crafting reagents to make, at the time of this video, the best worship skull in the game. Do not use the slush skull. It's actual bait. The stats look cool, but the worship charge is 100% dog water.
There will be people in the comments calling it the best. They are lying.
They are trolling.
Don't listen to them.
Once you have the bucket of slush, drop it on the snow pile to spawn the Dilapidated Slush and defeat it. And there you go. And did I also mention you could fight it in the World 3 Coliseum?
That's a wrap. World 3, 10 tips and tricks. 3 worlds down.
3 more to go. But anyways, my dudes, Ice and I have to get back to the guide grind. Stay tuned for the next IdleOn video. Stay safe. Happy grinding. And peace out.
What's going on? Bong bizzle. Bong bizzle. Bong bizzle. Bong bizzle.